Hello everybody. I thought it'd be useful to run through a few things which I've used recently during web scraping, and sometimes it's easy just to use them without looking at the various options and other ways of using them and things like that. So what I'm going to do today is a couple of examples, and also I'd like to thank some of my subscribers. They often suggest things which I've either not used, not come across, or I've heard about but forgotten to use or tried to use. So here we go. First thing is I'm going to be looking at normalize-space, which in my Amazon Spider, what I did was I stripped a lot of the HTML and white spaces, and I used replace. What I could have done or should have done, thanks to Alan Perfettini for mentioning it, was use normalize-space. And rather than go to a slightly more complicated example on Amazon, I was thinking it's probably better just to demonstrate it on books2scrape.com. So I'll post this code in the links in the description, or a link to it on GitHub rather, and what you can do is fiddle around with it and try changing this. If you take out normalize space, you probably will find you get a /n. If you add in normalize space, you should get exactly what you want, which would be in stock. So I'm just going to run this. This is the start of what we're going to be doing today. So save. And what I've got at the moment, I need to comment out, and I need to show you what it would have done had we not used normalize space. So without normalize space, this is what you get. Excuse me. And there we go. If you look up here, what we've got is so bear in mind this is books2scrape.com. Let's just call it up in the browser just in case any of you have not come across it before. While that's loading, we'll just quickly discuss what's wrong with this code. So what's wrong with it is we've got the p tag, the p class, and we've got the spaces either side of in stock. And yeah, there we go, in stock. If we inspect that, and there we go, you can see quote, load of white space, quote. So how do we get around that? Well, I think I've already showed you the answer, but let's just demonstrate it anyway. So if we go back to open it up in Micro, which is just my current text editor, what I'm going to do is comment out stock, because that's given us the output we don't want. And what I'm going to uncomment is the line that I've already prepared, and all I've done is put normalize space in front of the bracket but inside the selector still. So you have to be quite careful, because you end up with quote, square bracket, parentheses, single quote, parentheses. Yeah, just keep an eye on that. Right, let's run it again. Sudo scrapy crawl YouTube demo, and look at what we have. We have in stock. Contrast that with what we had just now. We had in stock, so we were getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, and we were getting the remnants of the previous one there, which was shifting that along because there was no new line character. So we've gone from that to in stock, followed by the book name, which is, I don't know about you, but that's probably how I would want to be seeing it when I'm making a scraper. So yeah, that's optional. That's just for the sake of this demo. Obviously you would add those to a dictionary and yield it to scraping feeds, or output it to a database using pipelines, which you may or may not have seen in my recent videos. So that is normalize space. And again, thanks to Alan Perfettini for reminding me to use that. Next thing crops up quite a lot, and quite often you could use this, which is a lot better than having to use URL join. Often URL join will be used when potentially you could just use response.follow. Code Monkey King mentioned this to me a long time ago, about 6 months ago, and I've been using it ever since, so it's been a big help. Why is this better? Well, otherwise you would have to find the new link, and if we look here, for instance, if we look at this link here, you'll see the href is catalog /a light in the attic, blah blah blah. So we couldn't just go to that, because what we will be doing with our spider is we would actually, if we extract the XPath, we will get just what you see here. So we would just be getting catalog /a light. So that is no good to us. So we would have to then use URL join to join that to our base URL. So it's more work to do, and just use response.follow. URL equals page 2, and page 2 equals this. So if I run it again, you'll see it might make more sense. So here we go. So that is what the selector returns, and obviously you can't just go to catalog /page. So with response.follow basically knows that that's the first part of the URL, and then it joins or concatenates what we've just found. So it forms the full URL. So response.follow, very useful. There we go, response.follow. And all you do there is you say URL equals page 2, or you'd change that to a variable, and it would be subsequent all of the next pages. So that would actually be next page, and next page would equal whatever that is. And if you want to find next, what you would probably use is something like you would probably use one of these, maybe this one, div. If it's a div, it's got a link for next, and then you can do text, so it contains text, which is really good because the link for next, you would hope, would always contain the word next. Now, potentially the website maintainer might change it to uppercase or something like that, but it's unlikely. So as long as you're looking for the word next, it doesn't matter what the CSS is or what the XPath is or whether it moves up and down in the DOM. So you could just do div contains text equal text. So when you use contains, you then have a parentheses, and inside that you say you want to look for some text, and that's what you want to look for. That's the pattern that you're looking for within the text. There we go. So why have I got all these 4 here? Again, thanks to a subscriber. On Coderecode site, I mentioned to him the other day that he could use starts with, and he knew more than I did about using contains anyway, so he came back with these. This was the one that I suggested, and then yeah, the good one that he came back with, thanks to him, was you can use contains text, find the pattern, the text, and where the class name contains. So even if you've got a really long class name, I mean, that's not too bad. I mean, Amazon ones are 100 characters or more. So you can specify part of the class to narrow it down, and if you're finding the text with pattern of questions, then you've got quite a robust selector. Next, I'd just like to thank Aaron S. You may have seen some of his articles on Towards Data Science on medium.com. Yeah, just wanted to thank Aaron for his suggestions with regard to scrapy settings in particular, and yeah, HTTP cache enabled, which is fantastic, because if you use that, it saves this line 84 in settings file. Yeah, you really need to use that because it's just so much quicker, and it will save you getting banned when you are testing. So what next? Oh yeah, Patrick Klein. I'd like to thank him for some suggestions when I was doing my Scrapy and Selenium combined video. Thanks to Patrick. And also James Inns. I'd like to thank James for he suggested using load.env, which you can install here. You can do pip install load.env, I believe. And also he came up with how you can use self.driver.get cookies to get cookies from Selenium, and then you can set them to a variable of, well, self.cookie, and then you can use that in your headers, which in my case I was transferring the response from Selenium back into Scrapy, and yeah, that was really useful, so thanks to James for that. So that's all I really wanted to cover today. I hope it's been interesting, and yeah, just to summarise, normalize-space, it strips out all the white space. Response.follow, it saves you having to use url.join. Contains, especially contains text with an xpath. Obviously it only works with xpaths, so if you're using CSS this is not relevant, but if you only use CSS, it's definitely worth trying xpath because it's pretty powerful. And yeah, it can future-proof stuff, because if you're searching for text, which especially with a next button will always be called next. You'd hope so, unless they change it to more or something, but we can't worry about that. But as long as the button's called next, then you look for where for instance, the name of the button would be called next, and so on. So yeah, contains. You've also got starts with. So if you're doing an Amazon one, for instance, and they've got massive long class names, you could just say starts with, you know, the first 20 characters, because sometimes that would be all you need. But it's very good to combine either contains or starts with and something else. So within your predicate, so your predicate is everything inside the square brackets. Within your predicate you can use and. So I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, and then I'll be back very soon. Thank you.